Last time on Fun Panthers. Picking up where the previous session left off, Sonny kicked in the door of the Steins Gate at midnight and showed the party the pod that he'd stolen. The party knew they had to deal with this immediately, but opinions were divided on how to handle it. Most of them wanted to destroy it outright, thinking that these devices were nothing but trouble, while Morak was still interested in studying it and understanding its specific purpose. Eventually, his opinion won out, and after stowing it away upstairs, he began to interface with it and with a psionic force that seemed to be within it, while the rest of the party prepared to destroy it if they saw any signs of trouble. As he interfaced with it, Morak felt a presence probe at his mind and saw flashes of his own memories appear before him, but as these memories were building up around him, he also saw memories of whatever this creature was that he was interacting with. It was a tall and lanky creature with purple skin and elongated limbs, 6 fingers on each hand, and a head resembling an octopus, and a mouth that was surrounded by tentacles and filled with razor-sharp teeth. Whatever this utterly alien creature was, it seemed confused and was probing Morak for information. But just as it peered into Morak's mind, Morak was able to peer back. He saw memories of these creatures long ago, wielding immense psionic power, and learned that the pod that it was within was meant to extend the lives of it and creatures like it. Meanwhile, back in the tavern, the rest of the party saw the pod begin to open, and the creature seemed to stir from whatever slumber it was in, and its body began to levitate out from the pod. Morak, however, was able to sever the mental connection and force the pod shut before the creature could escape, trapping it inside as this strange fluid seemed to refill the chamber, sedating the creature. The party promptly decided to kill the thing and decapitate it and tossed its remains in the fire. After disposing of the body, though, the party spoke to Sonny about where he acquired the pod from, and after talking it over a little bit and noticing just some strange inconsistencies in the story, deduced that the Archron was likely behind the attack on the Skinny Walkers, and with that, had the second pod. The party promptly decided that he could not be trusted with it and made off towards his hideout. But once there, things they saw were just not quite right. There were signs of struggle all over the building, shattered walls and blood on the floor, but still inside his office was the Archron, as professional as ever. He tried to downplay the damage, but the party simply wasn't having it, and after some back and forth, they managed to convince him to let them see the pacified creature. The creature had been decapitated, with its head attached to a seemingly magical collar that was animating it, and with a large metal spike inserted directly into its brain that seemed to be suppressing its mental powers. The party continued to argue with the Archron about the creature, how the situation was clearly not under control, and this proved to be a useful distraction as Kezia and Ode both slipped away to investigate the building. Ode returned to the Archron's office and managed to steal his journal, which was written in a seemingly alien language that she was able to translate and contained just this ritualistic language and chanting in it. Meanwhile, Kezia taunted and possibly negged a minor. As that was going on, though, the rest of the party, spearheaded by Morak and Sonny, tried to convince the Archron to interact with the creature that they dubbed a mind flailer now rather than wait. They succeeded, and the Archron removed the malachite spike from the creature, which immediately released a wave of psionic energy targeting those present. Meanwhile, Ode located Joro in a side room, chanting some kind of ritual in that same alien language as psionic rooms formed around him, and the room seemed to fill with this purplish miasma. The psionic wave affected all those present except for Sonny, who executed the mind flailer head as it threatened him with something that it referred to as ascension. As the creature died, its effects diminished, and much of the group was able to regain their senses, except for the Archron, whose mind seemed particularly affected. Morak was able to trick him, however, into summoning the helmet of psionic origin, which he then confiscated before allowing him to collapse onto the ground. In the other room, Kezia was also able to break Joro from his trance, slashing out his hands with a knife and spiking with a paralytic poison until his concentration was shattered and he was able to regain his senses. With this, the party slowly regathered in the room with the Archron and was left with the question of what to do with him. Most of the party seemed determined to execute him, believing that if he were to live, he would only continue to tangle with these artifacts and unleash evil into the world, but Kezia stood firmly against it, believing that executing him like this would be wrong, and that he at least deserved the chance to speak while free from the effects of these psionic artifacts. This disagreement led to several tense moments, particularly between Kezia and Artuk, but Kezia ultimately won the day, and the party quickly looted the room of valuables before leaving the hideout with a catatonic Archeron. Later that evening, after returning to the inn, Artuk spoke to Kezia once again, who was still guarding a catatonic Archeron. Artuk apologized for the extreme measures he employed while talking with a friend, and while he still doubted whether the Archeron deserved to live, treating Kezia like that, like how he was treated by the herd, that wasn't right. In any case, though, the stage was finally set. One final day of rest, time to tentatively coordinate their plans, but all that was left ahead of the party was the break-in. It was time to get Ernest back.